let's go to our last position group that we're going to talk about today. Do we want to classify it as sneaky, or are you going to go on a limb and call it one of the best in the country?
Um, I here's the thing. I think it's one of the best. I do think nationally, like internally, I believe that they feel it is one of the best. And of course, I'm talking about Nebraska's defensive line group here. I think nationally it might be slept on in favor of some other guys. And there's no maybe like real alphas where it's like at Texas A&M you have Nick Gordon, and in Michigan you have obviously the two D line guys, Grant and Graham. I mean, but with Nebraska, it's a little bit more by committee and a little bit more just the pure depth and a more so maybe a projection that you're seeing to take a year two jump from a guy like Princewell Umanmellen or Cameron Lenhardt or Riley Van Poppel. But Ty Robinson's a guy, a lot of production, could have gone to the NFL draft, but he's back for more. Nas Hutmacher, we'll get into his story. He's an incredible guy. Stephon Thompson reunites with Tony White, is kind of reshaping his body and what he's doing defensively for them. And MJ Sherman, a guy, nice transfer from Georgia a year ago. Really, really solid depth, veteran versatility, leader in that group that knows the championship pedigree. And even Jamari Butler looking to take another jump. Just a lot of production, a lot of snaps coming back in year two under this new regime here that I think they're pretty darn excited about. But yeah, we'll let you get started. Pick your ever player you want, and we'll go from there.
All right, well, let's talk about Princewell Umanmellen. He was a freshman last year, highly rated recruit, brother of
Yeah.
Princey Umanmellen, who's the Florida guy, transferred to Ole Miss. I mean, played pretty well last year for a true freshman.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was a guy that you're reading the tea leaves, you're reading the practice reports. He was going to be a guy that was going to have to be relied upon for Nebraska in year one in the Big Ten, which maybe was not ideal in terms of what he could do. Maybe he was a little bit not physically limited, but maybe needed to put on some weight, adjust to college football. But he held his own. He was pretty damn good. Um, in his first year at Nebraska, graded out very well. The production was there at times as well. You saw
250
the
snaps.
flashes.
He had 22 pressures and 250 snaps as a true freshman. That's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Actually, it's 22 pressures in 142 pass rushing snaps. That is not bad at all.
yeah. That's why I think. I mean, it's tough because he's recovering from an injury this spring, so he's kind of been limited. So you were hoping maybe he could take spring and really refine his game, work on his body. But it sounds like he's recovering from injury, which obviously is going to put him back a little bit. But I'm still very high. We're both very high on him for year two.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Let's talk about him. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Nash Hutmacher? Hutmacher?
Sure,
Hutmacher?
don't
Sure.
matter. He's a stud.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's awesome. I mean, dude. What do we say about big boys? What do we like in big boys?
We love versatility in their high school sports. If you're playing wrestling, or if you're wrestling, if you're playing basketball, even baseball, track and field, probably the field emphasis there. We love that. That shows athleticism, that shows versatility, explosiveness, all things balance that translate hand-eye coordination, that translates directly to hand fighting and just the battles that go on in the trenches, both offensively and defensively. We love that. And Hushmatcher is a pretty damn good one of them. You tell us about that.
Well, I mean, he played at 6'4", 330 pounds. Okay. Also, let's talk about the discipline here to cut, what was it, 50 pounds to wrestle at what he wrestled at. And also
285
he
heavyweight.
285. He also was a good wrestler, like he was good. He was a good wrestler. And just like he was also productive for them last year. And he's gonna be a leader, right? Uh I don't know that he'll be eligible for the draft this year. It'll probably be next year. But dude, he's just a nasty individual, man. He's just a nasty individual. Like you get a guy that wrestles the way that he does, right? And we've seen guys have success on the defensive line in the Midwest, guys that have done both wrestling and played defensive line. Look, we'll see him. Like we'll see what weight he ends up playing at. Like, is he going to be able to put on another 50 pounds for the season? Maybe not, but maybe that helps him, man. Maybe that helps him get off a little bit better. Maybe maybe it's just more muscle that he's putting on. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be, but he's just a really exciting player to talk about because we don't know what his body's going to look like come time for the season. And we don't know like how much, because I believe because last year was his freshman
He was a
year.
junior
Did he
last year. No, Hutmacher was a junior. He'll actually be a fifth year senior with the COVID year. So this is his last year of eligibility
really?
for Nebraska.
Okay, I guess yeah, because okay, it says draft eligible year 2025, so meaning NFL draft of 2025. But he wasn't always a wrestler in Nebraska, right? He like came back to it, right? He
Yeah,
quit, came
so
back
in
to it.
high school, he was the number one ranked heavyweight wrestler in the country. He was 166 and 0 in zero wrestling, undefeated, four straight state titles. Yes, don't tell me it's South Dakota. Sure, still really, really impressive. There's a reason he was the number one ranked. But he's taken a couple years off, and he came back, and he actually had a really good year. It wasn't quite eye pop. It was not 166 and 0. He did not go undefeated, but he made it to the championships. He made it to nationals for wrestling, which is uber impressive. To take off a couple years, to not have the offseason to train, and to show up after taking a beating in Big 12 or in the Big 10
Big
football
Ten.
season, and then uh put on lose 50 pounds and still be able to wrestle at a high level. It speaks to, like you said, the work ethic, the discipline, the athleticism, everything that we want in our defensive lineman. He's also a guy that has a ton of experience in football, right? He's played in what, 36 games, right? So which is awesome. He started all games last year, comes back as a guy. Him and Ty Robinson are a really nice duo in the middle. Ty Robinson maybe 6'6", 310, so a little bit taller, but maybe not as big as what Hutchmaster played last year. But maybe you bulk Robinson up, you get a little bit more frame left to add on him to play a little bit of nose or maybe that interior guy, and you can keep Hushmasher to be that athletic guy that he is after losing all that weight. So maybe that's what you want to do versatility wise. Obviously, you have that sticking on the interior D line, Riley Van Poppel, right? A guy put on 12 pounds from a year ago. Another one of those guys who played a lot freshman year. Got some nice experience. And with Hushmasher wrestling and with Robinson kind of, limiting his reps in the spring, like Van Poppel's gotten a ton of reps and a ton of runs with the ones against a pretty damn good O line in Nebraska. But he's a guy that they're excited for in a year two jump to maybe spell Hushmatcher and Robinson to be able to make that versatility and to keep those guys fresh.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's a pretty good defensive line group, if you ask me. It's pretty good. I mean, do you want to talk about Jamari Butler? I mean, he graded out pretty well on these numbers, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's a guy that started at about half the games he played last year, played 11 games, so 6 starts. He's from Mobile, Alabama. I believe this is going to be his fourth year after COVID, so he's technically going to be a junior. I'm sorry, fifth year junior with the COVID stuff. So it's kind of hard to keep track of all these guys. But he's kind of gotten better every single year. He's been in the program. He obviously set career highs. Last year was just another
Seven
guy
sacks.
really exciting, really
Seven
exciting for him.
sacks.
Um, yeah, and another guy versatility wise, probably playing that D end group. He's a little bit smaller than the guys we've talked about. He's only 6'4", 245. He's probably put on a little bit more weight than even that. But yeah, he's a nice piece. Another edge guy that can do some nice things for them.
Yeah, I agree. What about Cameron Lenhardt?
Yeah, another guy, similar vein as Princewell Umanmellen, a guy that was from the jump was forced onto a role that was going to be some things, and he had a nice sack against Shador Sanders in week 2 there. I think he had a sack against Minnesota as well, week 1. He did some really nice things in fall camp and then translated to early September as well. But then he kind of got derailed by an ankle injury, and it kind of messed up the health and everything and explosiveness that he had in year 1. Still finished out pretty well, but maybe didn't grade out as well as he would have wanted to. But I think he's a guy that's getting a lot of buzz again in year 2 for Nebraska to take another jump, just like Umanmellen, just like Van Poppel, another piece in there. I mean, we've talked about what, 9 guys right now. We got 9 guys, 8 guys that we've mentioned that are just really nice pieces and rotation guys, different things that you can do defensively for Tony White, who's, by the way, fantastic defense coordinator, a guy that obviously had some head coaching opportunities, maybe took denied a couple of them to stick with this group here and really make the most of it. Maybe improve his draft or his stock just a little bit more. But yeah, Cam Lenhardt's a guy that I think Big Ten fans, you should keep an eye on because he's going to come play your team and it's going to look pretty darn good in year two, I think.